How to make the basket of eggs. Now, in order to do that, you have to upgrade your next egg breakfast with eggs in a basket. Just in 10 minutes, the yolk and the white bread will bake up in the center of the toasted bread. When you use a sheet pan, you'll have enough eggs to fit in the basket. For example, if you cook any scrambled egg in the pan, you use one egg in a hole or one toast in a hole, eggs in a basket, whatever you call it. This breakfast recipe has delighted people of all ages of the centuries, and usually when eggs are done, it's done in a skillet with one piece of toast at a time. But baking on a sheet pan in the oven, it simplifies and speeds up the process. And and in order to get that done, you have to use one sandwich bread. Any kind of egg will be good for you. You can either cut it to make it sliced, or use a toast to make it toast breaded, or you want the slices of eggs to be large enough to fit on a cooked egg. And it will be too small because you would have to rack up the oven to the highest and lowest positions and preheat the oven to 425 degrees. You only place one baking sheet on the lower rack of the oven to preheat it. And once you do, you'll have to use one scoop of butter and put it only on one side of each slice of bread. Then using a 2.5-inch biscuit cutter or even the opening of a drinking glass. Then you only use one slice of egg to cut it into a round hole of the center of the bread. Then you remove the bread to create the hole. And once you do make the egg and put it in the actual oven, you move the oven. You have to move the oven and remove the hot sheet pan from the oven, and then you gotta tilt the pan of the hot butter around the surface. Then you arrange the slices and then just butter it up. And then once you use a baking sheet, you gotta use it closer to your edges, and you gotta place the circles to cut out in the middle of the pan. And then you also use butter to only put it on one side. And then if you put it in an basket, you only have to crack one egg and bake the bread on the lower rack of the oven for 1.5 minutes until it's lightly toasted. And once the bread is done, you only cut it into like one triangle and it's like halfway through. But you take out on one baking sheet, carefully flip the bread on the pan, and you gotta rotate the pan. That way it's all heated up. You gotta like carefully use a spatula. You gotta carefully flip it and put it into the oven like that. Now, once the bread is lightly toasted, you actually take out the pan and place it inside the second room temperature of the baking sheet. And once that's done, you have to create a butter that keeps the food from overcooking. Carefully crack one egg into each hole. Put it into a mixing bowl, sprinkle with salt and pepper, and return the stacked baking sheets into the oven. This time on the top rack, you gotta bake it to 6 to 7 minutes, and to rotate the pan halfway through baking until the egg whites, just to start to set it up. And then you have to use the white eggs to remove the sheet trays from the oven and then place them on a wire rack for like 3 minutes before serving the eggs. This heat of the baking sheets will actually continue to cook the eggs during that time, and to fill them up together and to make it beautifully. And that's how you put a scrambled eggs into the middle of the sliced bread. That's how you usually make it. One recipe makes 6 pieces out of toast with 6 eggs, and depending on how hungry you are, you may want to whip up more than one slice per person. So feel free to adjust accordingly by employing larger or multiple pans. And you have to make ahead. Eggs in a basket are designed to be eaten right away. While the yolk is still runny, you have to get a head start. You can slice the bread and like butter it up on a few minutes before you're ready to eat it. And you don't feel that stuck in the circle. You gotta use a you have to use a cookie cutter to to like to like make it more good. Like for example, you can make it into a star, a dog, a heart, or for Valentine's Day, etc. The sky's a limit. But but depending on how like your toast is, you see how large your eggs are. So you have to cook it for a few minutes longer to get your eggs just the way you like them. But for more recipes of that, you gotta roll up a quick egg burrito on it, or set it down for a delicious egg or a fresh asparagus recipe. And that's how you make scrambled eggs and put it into a middle of a sliced bread. So if you ever want to make something like that, just have your parents teach you that, and they can give you the recipes. And that is the end of my video, and I will see you in the next video.